Small-town auto shop, early morning. Soft blue mist hovers over the quiet street. The sun hasn't risen yet, but the sky is bruising pink behind old telephone lines. Elias, late 50s, weathered hands and a stiff back, unlocks the gate of his auto shop. Eli's wrench and wheel. The faded paint clings to rusted metal. The sign creaks above him as the wind breathes through. He lights a cigarette but doesn't smoke it, just watches it burn. Behind him, a coffee cup steams from the hood of a broken-down Dodge. The smell of oil and rain-damp tires lingers. His eyes catch something across the road. A girl, maybe 10, stands by a flickering street lamp. She's small, thin arms folded tight around a threadbare backpack. Her hair's pulled into a low ponytail with a red ribbon, frayed at the ends, but it's her feet that freeze Elias. She's not wearing proper shoes, just sandals. Worn thin, straps hanging by threads, her toes black with dust and cold. He sets the coffee down. Elias, softly. "What are you doing out here, kid?" She startles. Doesn't answer, just lowers her eyes and starts walking. He notices the rhythm. Stiff, careful steps. Like every stone in the gravel hurts. Elias's POV. The girl disappears down the long road. No cars, no sidewalk, just her and the wind, and those torn sandals, disappearing like footprints in sand. Int shop. Later that morning. The radio hums softly. Elias wipes grease off a carburetor, but his eyes drift to the road. Mechanic, VO. She passed by the shop again the next morning. Same time, same sandals. I didn't say anything, but then I asked around. Int, local bakery. Daya shopkeeper, flower on her arms, leans over the counter. Shopkeeper. Oh, that one? Walks 4 miles every day to school. No bus out by her place. Her mom's real sick. Elias blinks. The hum of the mixer fades out in his ears. Back to auto shop. Nitelia sits alone, looking at a piece of paper in his hand. A rough sketch of a map, with a circle around the school and a red line tracing. The road she takes, the shop lights flicker. His gaze lowers to her old shoes again, etched into memory now. Elias. VO. She never asked for help, but something in the way she limped away from the light felt like a question no one had ever answered. Tomorrow, he decides, he'll try something different, even if she never looks up. Auto shop. Next morning. The sun stretches over the rooftops, painting gold across cracked asphalt. Elias leans against his truck holding a small brown paper bag. It's creased at the edges, still warm. Inside, a peanut butter sandwich, 2 orange slices, and a folded napkin. He hears her before he sees her. The familiar shuffle of cautious feet on gravel. The girl walks the same path, same sandals, same silence. Elias takes a breath and speaks without moving. Elias. Didn't think I'd see you again. She stops, startled like a deer. Doesn't respond, doesn't run, just waits. Elias, still not looking at her. I made an extra sandwich this morning. Either I give it to you, or I throw it to the birds. She glances at the bag in his hand. Her lips part, then shut again. Girl, I'm not hungry. Elias, gently. Didn't ask if you were. He finally looks at her. Eyes kind, not pushing. She walks forward, hesitant, takes the bag slowly. Girl, soft. Thanks. He shrugs, pretending it's nothing. Elias. Just don't feed it to the birds. She almost smiles. It's quick, gone before it fully forms, but he catches it. She starts to turn, then hesitates. Girl. My name's Lila. He nods once. Elias. Elias, Layla, quietly. I'll pay you back someday. He watches her walk away, bag clutched tight in both hands like it's made of gold. Auto shop. Later that day. The bag she held sits empty on the workbench now. She must have come back while he was out. The folded napkin is still there. and written on it in red crayon, "Thank you." "You didn't have to, but you did." Elias stares at the note. A small smile touches the edge of his lips. Elias, V.O. She wasn't just carrying that sandwich, she was carrying pride, and maybe something heavier. The next day, he leaves 2 sandwiches on the bench. Just in case. Auto shop, midday. The clink of metal, the slow whir of a worn-out ceiling fan, grease-streaked tools laid out like silverware on a stained towel. Elias lies flat on a mechanic's creeper beneath a rusted pickup truck, sleeves rolled past his elbows, sweat beading down his temple. The girl didn't show today, or maybe she passed earlier. Still, he left the sandwich by the gate, just in case. He grips the wrench tighter, jaw clenched, not from the bolt, but from the ache in his lower back that never quite goes away. Elias, V.O. Been under more hoods than I can count, fixed more engines than people, but both come broken the same way. Slow wear, bad timing, and someone forgetting to care. Flashback, auto shop. 10 years earlier. The walls were newer then, the paint less peeled, a framed photo of a woman. Long dark hair, smiling beside a younger Elias, still hung above the cash register. A toddler toddles in with oversized goggles on her head. Young daughter. "Dad, I put your spark plugs in my teddy bear." Elias lifts her up, laughing as she waves a toy wrench. Elias, then, "Well, guess Teddy runs better than half the cars in town." Flashback, ends back to present. Auto shop. The laughter is gone now, just a hollow hum in his chest. He rubs his knuckles, calloused and bruised, then reaches for a stack of unpaid bills folded beneath a coffee mug. Elias, V.O. When the wife passed, everything got quieter, except the debt. That part stayed loud. He wipes his hands on a rag and limps toward the office. As he turns the corner, he sees her, Lila, peeking in through the half-cracked door. She's not alone this time. She's holding something, a small envelope. Before he can speak, she slips it through the slot and vanishes. He opens it. Inside, a pressed flower, a note in crayon. "Still haven't paid you back, but I will." Elias stares at it. Doesn't smile, doesn't cry. Just breathes in deep and turns toward the shadow in the hallway. Standing there is his own daughter, older now, teenager, silent, watching him. She says nothing, but he can tell. She saw everything. Auto shop, late night rain. Taps against the tin roof like hesitant fingers. Elias sits alone at his cluttered workbench, surrounded by tools, unpaid bills, and a silence that feels heavier than the storm outside. A single lamp glows warm on his face, in his hands. The flower from Lila's envelope, fragile, already drying. Elias, V.O. Didn't know what to call it. Kindness? Duty? Maybe just the part of me that still believed small things mattered. He glances toward the shelf. A brown bottle of pain medicine, half empty. The label curls with age. He shakes it, counts the pills. Then looks at his wallet. 3 notes, all creased, not enough for both. He sighs, turns the wallet over. A photograph slips out. His late wife, laughing, holding their daughter when she was Lila's age. A quiet ache stirs in his chest. Elias, V.O. She used to say, "The world's missing good men. Eli, don't be one of them." Guess I took that too literal. He stands, grabs his jacket, and heads out into the night. Small thrift store. Nida flickering open sign hums weakly. The rain stopped, but puddles catch the lamplight like melted glass. Elias enters, eyes scanning the aisles, until he sees them. A pair of small black school shoes. Scuffed but sturdy. The tag reads $12. He runs his fingers over them. The way you'd touch something sacred. Elias, quietly. "Yeah, these'll do." He pulls out his wallet, pays with everything he's got. Leaves the coins behind. Auto shop, morning. The next day, before the sun fully climbs, He walks quietly down the dirt path near the school. No one's there yet. He places the shoes neatly by the front steps, tied together with twine, a small paper tag hanging from one, "For walking toward your dreams." He turns and walks away, not looking back. Schoolyard. Later kids run past. Lila stands frozen at the steps, the shoes in her hands. Tears streak down her dusty cheeks, her lips tremble. She looks toward the road, as if somehow she knows. Lila, whispering. "Thank you." Elias, VO. I never meant for her to see me, but somehow, I think she did. And the next morning, there was a note waiting for me. Auto shop. Early morning. The world is still damp from last night's rain. Elias pulls up the shop's shutters, the metal groaning like old bones. The air smells of wet earth and gasoline. Something white catches his eye at the gate, a folded paper, wedged beneath a stone. He picks it up, confused. The paper is wrinkled, the handwriting childish but careful. "Thank you for the shoes. I wore them today. They made the road shorter somehow." Lilius blinks. The corners of his mouth twitch upward. He looks around. The street's empty. Just wind and birds. He walks inside, pins the note to the corkboard behind his counter, right beside unpaid invoices and fading calendars. It's the only thing on that wall that feels alive. Elias, VO. Didn't realize it then. But that note became a kind of compass, a reminder that not everything broken stays that way. Montage. Passage of time. The calendar pages flip. Months fall away. The sign Eli's wrench and wheel fades further under sun and dust. Elias's hair grays, his shoulders stiffen. He keeps leaving sandwiches by the gate, though fewer now. Sometimes a bird pecks at them. Sometimes they're gone before noon. He never asks which. Auto shop, night he closes the register. The radio hums softly. Old country song, static in between verses. He glances at the note again. It's still there, edges curling, ink faded but words still sharp. Elias, VO. She stopped walking this way eventually. Or maybe I just stopped looking soon enough to notice. He traces the letter L with his thumb. Outside, headlights pass, briefly illuminating the dusty glass. And his reflection looks older, lonelier. He sighs and turns the open sign to closed. Elias, softly. Guess some debts don't ever get collected. Montage. Years later. Now dusts the empty shop windows. The same note, yellowed, fragile, hangs in its place. Elias, V.O. Years passed. Engines came and went. But the girl with the shoes never did. Until another goodbye found me. This time from my own daughter. Elias's kitchen. Evening dim light spills from a lone hanging bulb. Steam rises from a pot of boiled potatoes, the kind his daughter used to love with too much butter. Elias moves slowly, pouring 2 glasses of water. He sets the table for 2. Habit, not hope. A plate across from his sits untouched. He picks up his flip phone, its screen cracked but functional. Presses a number on speed dial. It rings, and rings, and... Daughter. OS, faint, distracted. Hey. Dad? Elias. Hey, kiddo. Made your favorite tonight. Potatoes, peas. I didn't burn 'em this time. Silence. He hears the clatter of dishes in the background, laughter. Not hers. Daughter, O.S. I'm still on campus. We've got a study group thing tonight. Elias, trying to sound casual. Oh, sure. You making friends? That's good. You still using the car, okay? It been stalling? Daughter, flatly. Yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine, Dad. He swallows. Elias, you could come home this weekend. You haven't been by in a... Daughter, sharply, Dad. I'm just busy, okay? The silence hangs longer this time. Elias nods, though she can't see it. Elias. Yeah, I get it. Daughter. OS. I'll call you next week. Love you. The line clicks. Elias stares at the phone, then sets it down beside the untouched second plate. The potatoes are cold now. Elias. VO. Funny how the house can feel louder with two people missing than when it was full. He picks up her fork, runs his thumb along it. Across the room, the note from Lila still hangs on the fridge, faded, but not forgotten. He eats slowly, one bite at a time, like something sacred, or like something ending. The next day, a knock came, not from his daughter, but from the city. Elias's auto shop, afternoon. The sun is merciless today, high and white and unforgiving. Heat dances off the hood of a rusted Camry Elias is working on. Sweat drips from his brow as he tightens a bolt with one steady hand and wipes his face with the other. Elias, VO. Engines made sense. They had rules, logic. You give them fuel, they give you motion. People, not so much. A white city truck pulls into the lot, too clean for this part of town. The door opens, and out steps a man in khakis and sunglasses, mid-30s, clipboard in hand, tie too tight for his smirk. City official. Mr. Elias Carter? Elias stands up slowly, back aching with every vertebra. Elias. That's me. City official. Matter of fact. This property's been zoned for redevelopment. You're on the acquisition list. He holds out a yellow envelope. Elias. What the hell does that mean? City official means you've got 30 days to vacate. They're putting in a co-working hub and luxury lofts. Elias stares at the envelope. Doesn't take it. Elias. This shop's been here since '88. I fixed half this town's brakes in that garage. City official. You should have fixed your paperwork instead. Zoning permits expired 3 years ago. The man drops the envelope onto the workbench, brushing off his slacks like the air itself is dirty. City official. Con TD. You've got 30 days, old man. He walks off. Tires crunch. Dust rises. Shop. Minutes later, Elias sits in silence. The only sound is the ticking of the cooling engine. He picks up a wrench, turns it in his hand, then sets it down slowly, like saying goodbye. Elias, VO. It felt like someone had taken the last bolt out of my bones, like the lift gave out, and I was underneath it. That night, while boxing up memories, I found something I hadn't touched in years. A thank you note, folded and faded, but still breathing. Auto shop, late night. The overhead light buzzes, flickering like it's tired too. Cardboard boxes lie open across the shop floor, some half-packed, others full of rusted tools, receipts from decades ago, jars of mismatched bolts. Elias moves slowly, like the air is thicker now. He wraps old spark plugs in newspaper, folds grease-stained uniforms like they were Sunday suits. He opens a drawer behind the counter. Inside, Polaroids. His wife laughing beside a cherry-red pickup. His daughter covered in oil, proud of changing her first tire. And, beneath them all, folded like a secret, Lila's note. The paper is soft now, yellowed. The words still legible in crayon. Thank you. You didn't have to, but you did. He sits, just sits. Note in one hand. A small pair of black school shoes, scuffed but intact, in the other. He'd kept them, all these years, never knowing why. Elias, VO. I thought I'd given that girl something she needed. But maybe she'd given something to me too. Shop window. Night outside. Moonlight spills across the lot. Inside, Elias stacks the final box, tapes it closed. The echo of the tape gun sounds like a goodbye. He places the framed photo of his wife on top of the last box. Then, carefully, slips Lila's note between the frame and glass. A tribute, a memory, a promise, kept in silence. He walks to the center of the shop, looks around. At the oil stains that told stories, at the walls that had heard laughter, grief, dreams, Elias. Softly. Hope you made it, kid. He flicks the lights off. Everything goes dark, except the corkboard, still glowing faintly in the moonlight, and on it, the corner of the note fluttering slightly, as if waving goodbye. The next morning, a letter arrived. Not from the city, not from his daughter, but from a name he didn't recognize, stamped with a gold emblem that shimmered like skyline glass. Elias's front porch. Early morning. The sun breaks gently through gray clouds, painting the porch in gold. A breeze rustles the old wind chimes by the window, their music soft, nostalgic. Elias opens the screen door in his worn flannel, a coffee mug steaming in one hand. At his feet, a white envelope crisp and out of place on his weathered doormat. No postage, no return address. Only his name, Elias Carter, written in fine, slanted black ink. He picks it up carefully, like it might crumble. The paper smells faintly of cologne and citrus. Kitchen. Moments later, Elias sits at the table, untouched toast beside him. He opens the envelope with calloused fingers. Inside, a sleek, embossed invitation. Deep blue cardstock, gold lettering. You are cordially invited to the grand opening of Zevatech World Headquarters. Friday, 11 a.m. Level 33. The Horizon Room. Tucked inside is a formal guest badge, and a handwritten note at the bottom. We've been waiting a long time to meet you. No signature. Elias reads it again. And again. Elias. Aloud, confused. What in the hell is Zevatech? He flips the card, checks the envelope again. Nothing. He walks over to the landline phone hanging crooked on the kitchen wall and dials. Daughter. OS. Hello? Elias. Hey. You ever heard of something called Zevatech? Daughter. Distracted. Yeah. They're huge. Tech conglomerate. AI, clean energy, space stuff. Why? Elias. They invited me to some opening. A pause. Daughter. OS. Faint surprise. Wait, what? You? He looks at the invitation again. The paper glints in the light. Elias. Quietly. They said, they've been waiting for me. The next morning he borrowed a jacket 2 sizes too big and shined his old shoes with engine oil. Elias's bedroom. Early morning. Sunlight cuts through the dusty blinds, streaking across piles of laundry and old receipts. Elias stands shirtless in front of a mirror. The reflection stares back like a stranger. Slouched shoulders, sun-worn skin, and a chest held a little tighter than yesterday. Laid across the bed, a blazer he borrowed from the neighbor. Navy. Too wide in the shoulders, too short in the arms. Elias pulls it on anyway, grimacing as it fights his frame. He smooths the sleeves, tugs at the collar. Elias. V.O. Last time I wore a jacket, it was to bury my wife. Didn't think I'd need one again unless I was next. He sits at the edge of the bed and slips on his shoes, black, scuffed, tired. He dabs them with an old rag soaked in engine oil. It gives them a dull shine. Good enough. Bathroom. Moments later, he scrubs grease from beneath his nails. The soap turns gray. His hands, raw. He reaches for the cologne, a half-used bottle from another life, sprays it once into the air, walks through the mist. Living room, same time. His daughter, now home for the weekend, walks in mid-yawn. She freezes when she sees him. Elias straightens his blazer. It still doesn't sit right. Daughter, smiling, surprised. Whoa, you got a date or a job interview? Elias, dryly. Maybe both. If they're lucky. Daughter, softening. You clean up nice, Dad. Elias chuckles, brushing dust from his sleeve. Elias. Don't lie. The jacket's older than you. She steps forward, fixing his crooked collar gently. A quiet moment. He looks in the mirror one last time. Still him. Just polished. By 10 a.m., he was walking through glass doors that opened automatically, into a world that had never made space for men like him. Ziva Tech headquarters. Morning, the city skyline gleams like polished armor. Ziva Tech rises at its center, a 60-story glass giant, modern, angular, terrifying in its perfection. Elias stands across the street, head tilted back, jaw slightly open. Cars stream past him like he's invisible. Elias, V.O. Wasn't sure if I was in the right place, or the right century. I'd fix tractors smaller than the doors on that building. He crosses the street, clutching the invitation in one hand, his borrowed blazer fluttering behind him like it doesn't belong. Ziva Tech lobby. Moments later, doors open with a whoosh, and Elias steps into another world. Everything is white marble and gold accents, tall ceilings. A living wall of green plants stretches 40 feet high behind the reception desk. The air smells like citrus and electricity. People move fast. Suits, tablets, wireless earbuds. He's the only one who pauses to take it all in. A young woman in a gray uniform approaches, smiling politely. Receptionist. Can I help you, sir? Elias fumbles in his jacket pocket, pulls out the invitation. It's creased now, slightly sweaty. Elias, I got this in the mail. Elias Carter. Don't know who sent it. She scans the card with a device on the counter. It beeps once, her eyes widen slightly. Receptionist, brighter now. Mr. Carter. You're expected. She taps something on a touchscreen. Receptionist, Con TD. Take elevator B, level 33. They've been waiting for you. Elias hesitates. Elias, softly. Who's they? She just smiles. Receptionist. You'll see. He turns slowly toward the escalators, their polished chrome shining so bright he can see himself in them. He steps on, rising slowly, floor by floor. Elias. V.O. I didn't know where I was going, but somehow it felt like someone had been watching the whole time. At the top, behind glass and gold, was a boardroom, and a face he never expected to see again. Ziva Tech. Level 33. The Horizon Room ding. The elevator doors open into a sunlit hallway. Floor-to-ceiling windows reveal the entire city, stretching like a river of silver and noise below. Elias steps out cautiously, invitation in hand. His boots thud against the marble while others glide silently in polished leather. A woman in all black opens a pair of double doors ahead. Woman. Mr. Carter? Right this way. The Horizon Room. Continuous. It's not a meeting room. It's a cathedral made of glass. A long table of brushed steel, sleek chairs filled with serious people in darker suits. At the head seat, empty. Everyone looks up when Elias enters. Some nod. Others eye him. Curiously. Some judgmental. He shifts on his feet. Elias. Look, I think maybe there's been a mix-up. I'm not with any firm or investor group or whatever this is. A low voice cuts through. Woman. OS. There's no mistake. Mr. Carter. Elias turns toward the sound. A figure steps through a side door, heels clicking on stone. She's tall, confident, no notes in her hand, hair in a clean bun, sharp black blazer, and a locket that catches the sun. She walks to the head of the table and smiles softly. Woman. It's been a while. Elias stares at her. Something about her voice, her eyes, her stillness. He steps closer, uncertain. Then it hits him, in the way she tilts her head, the red thread in her bracelet, the shoes she's wearing, black, sturdy, simple, Elias. Barely a whisper. I know you. She nods, her smile deepening. Woman? Softly. Told you I'd pay you back someday. He stumbles back into the seat behind him, because the girl he bought shoes for is now the CEO of Zevatech. Horizon room. Continuous. Silence fills the boardroom like fog. The executives glance at each other, confused, but she keeps her eyes on Elias. She takes her seat at the head of the table. The chair. Crosses one leg over the other. Woman, smiling. Name's Lila Navarro now, but I think you just knew me as the girl with the sandals. Elias can't speak. He just looks at her. Older, powerful, sharp as the skyline behind her. She opens a small drawer beneath the table, pulls out something wrapped in cloth, sets it gently in front of him. Lila, you probably don't remember, but these were mine. She unwraps them. The same black school shoes. Scuffed, worn, preserved. Elias's eyes widen. Elias, you kept them? She nods, voice softer now. Lila, I walked into school that day and cried so hard the teacher thought someone died. But really, it was the first time something in my life didn't feel broken. A beat of silence. Elias lowers his gaze, emotion catching in his throat. Lila, Contidi. Those shoes carried me farther than you'll ever know. Through high school, scholarships, foster homes. Eventually, I got here. She gestures to the room, the view, the future. Lila, Contidi. And I never forgot who gave me my first step forward. She stands again, eyes shining. Lila Contidi. I told you I'd pay you back someday. Elias looks around, at the boardroom full of tech elites, and then back to her, still unsure how this moment exists. His hands rest gently on the shoes between them. Elias, quietly, I never expected anything back. Lila, softly, that's exactly why you deserve it. She pulls out a contract, sleek, gold-lettered, and slides it across the table toward him. Horizon room. Moments later, the air has changed. The boardroom is silent except for the low hum of the city outside and the soft slide of paper over steel. Lila places a silver pen beside the contract. Lila, head of community initiatives. Your role would be to build and oversee vocational programs, starting with our first outreach center. Elias blinks at the page. His hands don't move. Elias, why me? Lila, gently. Because you gave without asking, and I think the world needs more of that, especially from someone who's lived it. She looks around the table. Some board members frown, others whisper, but she keeps speaking. Lila, Conti D. The tech we build changes futures, but people like you change hearts. Elias still doesn't speak. His eyes scan the contract, though the words blur slightly behind the weight in his chest. Elias, softly, I don't know anything about this world. Lila, that's the point. This world's forgotten how to build anything with their hands. You haven't. She leans forward, elbows on the table, eyes not of a CEO now, but of a girl who once limped down a dusty road with a sandwich in her bag and hope in her pocket. Lila, Conti D. You gave me dignity. Let me give it back. Elias reaches for the pen. It's cold in his fingers. He turns to look at the city one more time, glass towers stretching far into a future he never imagined. He lowers the pen toward the signature line, but his hand stops, trembling slightly. Elias, V.O. 30 years fixing engines, not futures. What if I wasn't enough? He looks up and sees his reflection in the table's polished surface. A man out of place, with everything to lose, and something unexpected to gain. Ziva, Tech, Admin Floor. Later that day, Elias walks down a quiet hallway with floor-to-ceiling windows and automated lights that follow his steps. A new ID badge hangs awkwardly around his neck. The Ziva Tech logo glows on the glass beside every door. His boots echo against tile too clean, too polished. He passes people in suits tapping on tablets, whispering into invisible headsets. Nobody looks like him. Nobody looks at him. Temporary office. Moments later, he's led into a small corner room. Sleek desk, ergonomic chair, touchscreen monitor glowing silently. The assistant smiles politely. Assistant. Let me know if you need anything, Mr. Carter. Elias. Yeah, maybe a carburetor and a socket wrench. She laughs. Doesn't get it. Leaves. Elias stands alone. The chair adjusts automatically when he sits, startling him. The monitor flickers, asking for a passcode. He stares at it like it's in another language. Office. Later. He fumbles with the tablet. Can't figure out how to scroll. Accidentally opens the camera. It flashes. A quick snap of his confused face, reflected back at him. He closes his eyes, rubs the bridge of his nose. Elias, V.O. I can rebuild a transmission blindfolded. But here I am, struggling to turn on a screen. He looks down at his hands, grease lines still faint in the folds. Nails rough. He picks up a sleek stylus. It slips. He fumbles. A paper slice catches his finger. He watches the blood rise. One bright red dot on paper this white. Elias, V.O. These hands weren't made for conference rooms. They weren't built for buzzwords and business cards. They fix broken things, not billion-dollar visions. He stares at the desk. The badge around his neck feels heavier now. Elias, softly. Maybe this was a mistake. The door opens suddenly. Laughter spills in from the hallway, and he hears it. That's the old guy she brought in, right? What is he, some charity case? Ziva Tech. Elevator lobby. Late afternoon. Elias presses the Floor 5 Vocational Development button. The elevator doors slide open with a smooth hiss. He steps inside. The chrome walls reflect every wrinkle, every smudge on his borrowed blazer. He tugs at the collar. His ID badge swings awkwardly from his neck. As the doors begin to close, two young executives slip in at the last second. Both wear perfect suits and matching smirks. They nod at each other, not at him. Silence for a beat. Then one of them chuckles under his breath, not bothering to lower his voice. Executive 1. So this is the guy she hired? The mechanic? Executive 2. More like a museum piece. What's he supposed to do? Change oil in the cafeteria? They both laugh softly. Elias stares straight ahead, jaw tightening. The elevator climbs. The numbers light up in silence. 17, 18, 19, Elias, V.O. This place ran on wires and Wi-Fi, but I came from a world of sockets and spit. They didn't see me, just my shoes, my age, my silence. The laughter fades, but the bruise it leaves sits deep. He lowers his eyes to the floor, shoulders slumping slightly. Executive 1, mock whisper. Bet she found him off Craigslist or something. The elevator dings before Elias can respond. Floor 21. Moments later, the doors slide open, and standing right there, arms crossed, heels planted, gaze steady, is Lila. Her eyes flick to the two men first. Their smiles die instantly. Lila, Mr. Carter. Elias looks up, caught between shame and surprise. She steps forward, hand extended. Publicly, proudly. Lila, Conti D. I was hoping to walk you to your meeting. The executives shift awkwardly. Elias takes her hand. Elias, V.O. In that one moment, her kindness was louder than their laughter. She leads him down the hallway. But before he can thank her, she says something that stops him cold. Ziva Tech. Hallway, continuous. The corridor is silent as they walk. Lila leads the way, her heels soft against the floor. Elias follows, a step behind. He clears his throat. Elias, you didn't have to step in back there. She stops, looks over her shoulder. Lila, simply. Yes, I did. She pushes open a door labeled Archives. It's quiet inside. Dark wood paneling, old project binders, a break from the polished chrome. She gestures to a bench by the window. Lila, softly. Sit with me for a minute. They both do. Outside the glass, the city sprawls. Cold, mechanical, enormous. But in here, time slows. Lila, Conti D. When I was 10, my father would come home drunk. Most nights I hid in the pantry. Sometimes with my little brother. Sometimes alone. Elias doesn't speak, but something in his posture shifts. Listening deeper. Lila, Conti D. One night he smashed a plate over the counter. Yelled that if I didn't have decent shoes, I shouldn't bother going to school. That's the day you left those shoes by the steps. No name, no note, just dignity. She swallows. Lila, Conti D. I didn't know what dignity was back then, but I knew how it felt for the first time. Flashback, schoolyard, years ago. Young Lila, standing at the edge of the crowd, holding her new shoes, tears in her eyes. Head high for the first time. She slips them on and walks forward, back to present. Archive room. Lila. You were the first person who gave me something without expecting anything back. No strings, no speeches. She turns fully toward him now, eyes glassy but proud. Lila, Conti D. You were the first person who made me feel safe. Elias stares at her, stunned. His lips part, but no words come. Elias, V.O. I thought I'd just bought a pair of shoes. Didn't know I'd built a foundation. She stands and hands him a folder. Blueprints. A vocational center. In the middle is his old neighborhood. Zeva Tech. Archive room. Moments later, Lila lays the folder on Elias's lap. Lila. Take a look. Elias opens it slowly. Inside, architectural sketches, grant proposals, and 3D renderings of a building labeled Ziva Vocational Uplift Center. Phase 1. Auto shop bays, classrooms, a welding lab, wood shop, study halls, a place for kids who've been forgotten by systems, not by potential. Elias, softly. This ain't no corporate showroom, Lila. It's not supposed to be. It's for the kind of kid who can take apart a lawnmower before they can read. For kids like me. Kids like I imagine you were. Elias runs his fingers over the page. It's hand-drawn, personalized, human. Elias. You want me to run this? Lila, nodding. From the ground up. Design the programs, train the trainers, make it real. He closes the folder gently and exhales through his nose. His fingers linger on the top. Elias, V.O. I'd spent my life in garages, but somehow this felt bigger than any engine I'd ever rebuilt. Elevator. Minutes later. Elias stands beside Lila as they descend in silence. She doesn't pressure. He doesn't perform. They just exist. Side by side. As the elevator dings at the lobby, she turns. Lila. You start tomorrow. But first, take a drive. She slips something into his palm. A key fob. He looks up, confused. Ziva, Tech Parking Garage. Moments later, he walks slowly to a reserved space. There it is. A truck, not new, but clean, reliable, familiar, just like the one he used to drive. It even has a small toolbox in the bed, full of polished wrenches. His name is stitched into the leather of the seat. Elias Carter, Program Director. He sits behind the wheel, starts the engine. It hums like a promise. He opens the folder again and freezes. The site location of the new center is circled in red. It's on the edge of his old neighborhood. Elias, whispering. You brought it, home, and tomorrow he would return, not as a mechanic, but as the one building the next generation of them. Vocational Uplift Center. Temporary office. Morning. The walls are still unpainted. The air smells faintly of sawdust and fresh wires. Elias sits at a modern desk inside a temporary trailer parked beside the construction zone. A sleek laptop sits open in front of him. A glowing screen blinks. Create user portal. Set up your training curriculum. He squints at it. Clicks the wrong tab. Again, Elias. How do I go back? He presses escape. Nothing. Elias, content. Nope. Not that. He leans closer. Accidentally. Zooms in until everything on the screen is the size of a billboard. His reflection stares back at him through the glare. Knock, knock. A young IT tech pops his head in. Late 20s. Cocky, backwards cap. Tech. Hey, Mr. Carter. Just checking in. Need help setting up the portal? Elias. Flatly. I've been staring at it so long, I forgot my own name. The tech chuckles, stepping in and clicking through tabs with rapid precision. Tech. It's just drag and drop, pretty much. Click this, embed your modules here, label each file, sync with the cloud. Elias stares blankly. Tech, Conto D. Or I can just do it for you? Elias. No, I need to learn it. The tech steps back, nods, but it's that nod that says, Sure, old man. He leaves. Elias stares at the keyboard like it personally insulted him. Elias. VO. These people think I'm some dinosaur crawling through a digital jungle, and maybe I am. But I didn't get this far by quitting on hard tools or soft people. He double-clicks again. Wrong file. The laptop beeps in protest. Elias, grumbling. I can fix engines. Not laptops. He slams the lid shut. He grabs his jacket and heads outside. Because there's one place left in the world where nothing runs on Wi-Fi. The garage next door. Old gas station garage. Mid-morning, sunlight flickers through a dusty awning. An old gas station sits on the corner of a quiet street, half its sign missing, the rest rusting into memory. Inside the open garage bay, Joey, a burly man in his 60s, leans under the hood of a Chevy that's older than both of them. Country music hums softly from a battered radio. Elias pulls up, slams the door of his new but old truck, and walks in. Joey looks up and smirks. Joey. Well, I'll be damned. If it ain't the legend of 5th Street, Elias. Still owe me $10 from '04. Joey, wiping his hands. Yeah, and I still got hair in that photo too. We both lie sometimes. They laugh, clasp hands. Joey pulls out 2 dented mugs from a paint-splattered shelf and pours coffee from a cracked thermos. They sit on upturned milk crates beside a stack of bald tires. Joey, con TD. Heard you got hired by the Silicon Saints. They given you a golden wrench yet? Elias, half grinning. Nah, just a shiny screen that hates me, Joey. Yeah, well, they're lucky to have you. This city forgot what it means to get your hands dirty. Elias sips, exhales. The warmth hits his chest. Elias, quietly. Sometimes I think I don't belong in there, Joe. Like I'm a ghost, walking through glass. Joey leans back. Joey. You ever think maybe you're not behind the times? Maybe you're what it needs to catch back up? Elias looks at him, surprised. Joey nods toward the open street. Joey, con TD. You fixed more lives than cars, buddy. Time they built something around that. Elias, VO. For the first time in days. I believed it might be true. Later that week, the vocational center opened its doors, and the first kid who walked in looked almost exactly like his daughter once did. Zeva Vocational Uplift Center. Morning. The sun rises slow and golden behind the fresh-painted sign. Zeva Uplift Center. Practical skills. Real futures. A line of teenagers waits outside the glass doors. Hoodies, backpacks, uncertain eyes. Some fidget. Some joke too loud. Some are already halfway out the door mentally. But inside, Elias stands just past the entryway, adjusting a blue work vest with his name stitched on the chest. Mr. Carter. He wipes his hands on a clean rag, still instinctively checking for grease that isn't there. The center hums softly. Brand new workbenches, clean welding bays, power tools lined up like soldiers. The scent of sawdust and possibility hangs in the air. Main workspace. Later. The students shuffle in slowly, eyes wide. They've never seen anything like it. A boy trails his hand along the metal lathe like it's magic. A girl lifts a screwdriver, then immediately puts it back like she wasn't supposed to touch it. Elias watches them all. Arms crossed, eyes scanning, silently calculating potential. Elias, V.O. They didn't come from privilege. They came from cracked sidewalks and loud nights. But their hands were hungry to build. He moves toward a workbench where a young girl, maybe 14, stares down at a blueprint with furrowed brows. Elias, that there's a torque diagram? Tell you how much twist your bolts can take before they snap. She looks up, her eyes narrow with interest. Girl. And who are you? He kneels beside the table. Elias. Name's Elias. I break stuff for a living, just so I can teach you how to fix it. She grins, the kind that's still figuring out how to be confident. Girl, quietly. Yes, sir. Elias straightens slowly, something flickering in his chest, like a motor catching its first spark. Later that day, while reviewing enrollment logs, he found a last-minute addition he never expected. His own daughter. Vocational Center. Office. Early evening. The last bell has rung. The workshop echoes with silence. Wrenches are back in their trays. Students have gone home, tired and smiling. Elias sits at his desk, flipping through enrollment logs on paper. He still prefers it that way. His finger stops. One name, handwritten at the bottom of the roster. Samantha Carter. His daughter. Before he can finish reading, knock. He looks up. She's standing in the doorway. Backpack slung over one shoulder. Jeans, hoodie. Older, but not unreachable. Daughter. Hey, Elias, startled. Sam, what are you? Daughter. I switched tracks. Dropped pre-med last month. Thought I'd try something real. Elias sets the papers down, unsure whether to smile or worry. Elias. You could have told me. Daughter. Yeah, I could have. But lately seems like you've been busy, fixing everybody but me. Her tone isn't cruel, just bruised. Elias. I didn't know you felt that way. Daughter. Shrugging. You didn't ask. They sit in silence for a long beat. Daughter, con to D. I see your name on buildings now. You're running programs, giving speeches. She drops her bag to the floor, voice tightening. Daughter, con to D. Why are you helping her and not me? Elias blinks, stunned. Elias, quietly. Sam, this wasn't about sides. Daughter, you gave that girl shoes once. I just needed you to show up. She looks away, jaw clenched. Elias, V.O. Her words hit harder than a socket wrench to the chest, because she was right, and I didn't even see it coming. That night, Elias climbed to the roof of the center, where the city looked different in silence, and waited, hoping she'd follow. Rooftop, vocational center, night. The city hums far below. Headlights flicker like fireflies beneath the stars. The air is cooler up here. Still, the kind of stillness that makes you tell the truth. Elias sits near the edge, legs stretched out, hands wrapped around a chipped coffee mug. The metal door creaks open behind him. He doesn't turn. He knows who it is. Daughter, softly. You always did come up here when things got hard. Elias, quietly. Only place that don't talk back. She walks over, sits beside him. Not too close, not too far. Daughter. I wasn't trying to pick a fight. Elias. I know. He takes a sip. Looks out at the glowing skyline. Elias, Con TD. When your mom passed, I didn't know how to be two people, father and mother, so I just became quiet. She listens, eyes fixed on the sky. Elias, Conti D. I gave shoes to a stranger, but I forgot my own kid was walking barefoot in ways I couldn't see. He turns to face her now. Elias, Conti D. Kindness ain't a pie, Sammy. Giving some to someone else doesn't mean there's less left for you. Her jaw trembles. She looks down, blinking fast. Daughter. I just wanted to feel like I mattered too. Elias, softly. You always did. I just got too busy fixing engines and forgot to check under the hood at home. A moment passes. She reaches out, hesitantly, and places her hand over his. He doesn't speak, just closes his fingers gently around hers. Elias, V.O. There's no torque wrench for moments like these. No diagram for repair, just two hearts, leaning in again. The next night, they dressed up for the first time in years, because someone was throwing a gala in his name. Zeva Tech, Skyline Ballroom, night. The ballroom glows gold. String lights tangled like stars. Glass chandeliers suspended from exposed beams. Floor-to-ceiling windows reveal the whole city sparkling beneath them. Elias stands near the back in a borrowed suit. Still too big. Still his. His daughter adjusts his tie. Smiles. Daughter. You look like you own the place, Elias. Gruff. I look like I wandered into the wrong wedding. Across the room, a large banner reads, Community Power Awards. Honoring Elias Carter. His eyes widen. Elias, V.O. Nobody told me my name would be up there. Would have worn cleaner boots. Servers pass by with champagne. A jazz quartet plays soft. Slow notes. Then, Lila steps onto the small stage, microphone in hand, clipboard untouched. The crowd hushes. She looks out at them, but her eyes find Elias first. Lila, I've stood on a lot of stages, talked numbers, markets, expansion, but tonight, I want to talk about the kind of power that doesn't trend, the kind that doesn't post or profit. She breathes in. Lila, Conti D. When I was 10, a man gave me a pair of shoes. He didn't know me, but he gave like he did, with dignity, with silence, with kindness that echoed for years. She pauses, voice steadier now. Lila, Conti D. He never asked for recognition, which is exactly why he deserves it. She raises her glass. Lila, Conted, to Elias Carter, the man who taught me what leadership really means. Applause explodes across the room. Elias stays frozen for a beat, then, slowly, presses his lips together and lowers his head. Elias, V.O. I didn't build buildings, didn't write code, but somehow, I made a blueprint anyway. The next morning, he found an envelope under his door. Inside, a promotion letter and a title he never imagined. Vocational Center. Elias's office. Early morning. Sunlight pours in through the tall windows, catching the edge of an envelope resting neatly on his desk. It's heavy, cream-colored, sealed with a gold Zevatech insignia. Elias eyes it like it might bite. He opens it slowly. Inside, a single page with bold black letters. Effective immediately. Elias Carter, CEO, Ziva Community Impact Division. He reads it again, and again. His hand shakes as he sets it down. Elias, V.O., CEO. 3 letters that never lived in my mouth. But there they were. Printed, stamped, real. Ziva Tech, Horizon Room. Midday a crowd gathers. Executives, students, construction workers, staff. Lila stands beside the podium, beaming. A projection lights up behind her. From wrenches to wisdom, leadership built by hands. She speaks first, briefly, proudly Lila. He taught us that real impact doesn't wear a suit. It wears scars and calluses and humility. Then she turns to Elias, who stands beside her in his well-worn boots and a button-down shirt that actually fits. Lila, Con to D. Ladies and gentlemen, your new CEO of Community Impact, Elias Carter. The room erupts. People stand. Students whistle. Board members clap, some awkwardly, some genuinely. And from the back row, his daughter cheers louder than anyone. Crowd, chanting. Elias, Elias, Elias. Elias doesn't step to the mic. He doesn't need to. He simply nods once. A slow, honest nod. Then he lifts his hand. A quiet wave. Elias, V.O. Never chased power. Just wanted to keep good things running. Guess that's what real power does anyway. Horizon room, later cameras flash. Someone places a glass of champagne in his hand. He sets it down, quietly overwhelmed. Elias, V.O. I wasn't built for glass rooms. But maybe they were waiting for someone like me to remind them how to breathe. But not everyone was cheering. Behind the scenes, some began to whisper, "He's sentimental. He's not scalable." And the storm was already building. Zeva Tech, executive boardroom. 2 weeks later. The lights are colder here. The skyline outside is covered in fog. At the end of a long table, Lila sits, flanked by a dozen board members. Pressed suits, tablet screens glowing, smiles that don't reach their eyes. Elias is not in the room. A projected chart shows a photo of him beside program updates and modest results. Board member 1. He's respected, sure, but respected doesn't equal returns. Board member 2. We've got 5 regional partnerships on hold because our community CEO still uses fax. Soft chuckles. Lila doesn't smile. Lila. He's building trust in places our brand has never touched. Isn't that what this division was created for? Board member 3. Calmly. But what's the exit strategy, Lila? What happens when the sentiment stops scaling? Lila. This isn't about scaling. This is about substance. She taps the table. The next slide loads, smiling faces at the vocational center. Kids welding. Girls wiring circuit boards. A plaque that reads, "Built by the hands that never gave up." Board member 2. That's a great headline. But this isn't a non-profit. Lila exhales, frustration cracking her composure just slightly. Lila. We built this company to lead. Now we get the chance to lead differently. To make real change. Board member 1. Dryly. With all due respect, you hired a man who doesn't know what a digital dashboard is. The room quiets. The final board member leans forward. Voice smooth. Board member 4. He's not scalable. Lila? He's sentimental. Lila's face hardens, but she says nothing. And across town, Elias sat alone. Unaware of the meeting, but very aware that something had shifted in her eyes the last time she left the room without saying goodbye. Elias's office. Early morning. The printer hums softly in the background. Elias sips from a chipped coffee mug, squinting at a flyer draft for the center's second campus. Then he sees it. A newspaper folded on the corner of his desk, not something he subscribes to. Front page headline, "From Garage to Glass Tower." Fairy tale or fluke? He picks it up slowly. There's a photo of him half smiling at the gala, looking slightly out of place in his suit. Below it, smaller text. Zevatech's sentimental choice draws investor skepticism. Sources question leadership viability of ex-mechanic turned exec, Elias, V.O. Didn't know who left the paper. Didn't need to. Montage. Media rumblings begin. A cable news anchor chuckles. Inspiring? Sure. Sustainable? We'll see. A blog headline pops up. Nostalgia doesn't build profits. Ziva's community gamble. Social media feeds fill with memes. CEO, Or grandpa in a garage. Podcast clip. We love a good underdog story. Until it costs money. Vocational center. Main floor. Lunchtime. Elias stands by the workbenches as students eat and laugh, unaware of the storm. He smiles, nods at a kid rebuilding a small engine, but his eyes drift toward his phone, where his inbox blinks with subject lines like, "Need to discuss image control." Urgent, narrative management strategy. His shoulders sink. Horizon room. Later that day, Lila sits at the head of the boardroom, her jaw clenched. In front of her, a tablet flashing news coverage, investor reaction slides, and one blunt message in bold. Pull him back before this drags us down. She doesn't respond, just closes the screen. Elias. VO. I wasn't ashamed of where I came from, but the world sure acted like I should be. Center hallway. Evening. His daughter leans against the wall reading one of the articles on her phone. She doesn't look angry, just tired. Elias sees her. Approaches. She puts the phone away quickly, avoiding his eyes. That night, Elias didn't sleep. By morning, he'd written something no one expected. Not a speech, a resignation. Elias's office. Very early morning. The sun hasn't risen yet. Outside, the parking lot is empty, and the world still feels asleep. Elias sits at his desk in the dim light. The only sound is the scratch of his pen against paper. Elias. VO. Some exits don't need applause, just a quiet click of the door behind you. He folds the letter neatly, slips it into an envelope, writes one name, Lila. Then he reaches for a box. Inside, the black school shoes she once gave back to him. Still scuffed. Still sacred. He takes a moment, touches the leather. Ziva Tech. Horizon room. Just before office. Our Celius steps in silently. No one's arrived yet. The city glows gold beyond the glass walls, unaware. He walks to Lila's office, places the envelope gently on her desk, then he sets the shoes beside it, cradled in a small glass display case. Not flashy, just honest. Taped to the inside of the case. A handwritten note. You walked farther than I ever did. Now it's time for me to walk away. Thank you. For the road. He steps back, takes one last look at the skyline, the company, the opportunity, the dream, then turns and leaves without a sound. Center. Empty workshop. Later that day, Lila walks in, folder in hand, stops cold at her desk. She sees the shoes first, then the letter. She doesn't open it right away. She just sits, hands over her mouth, eyes full. Lila, softly. No, Elias, VO, didn't leave because I couldn't handle the noise. I left because she deserved to lead without having to fight for me, too. She picks up the resignation letter, but before she reads it, she turns and runs for the door, because now she has to find him. Ziva Tech, Horizon room, morning sun. The skyline is bright now, light pouring across the desk where the glass box sits. Lila holds the letter, hands shaking slightly, her breath caught halfway between guilt and grief. She opens it. Elias, VO, from letter. You taught a city how to listen. You taught me that a single pair of shoes could change more than a life. It could start a legacy. She swallows. Tears well, but don't fall. She reads on. Elias, VO. This world sees kindness like it's a fragile thing, but you proved it's the strongest force in the room. You don't need me and a title to keep building that. You've already outwalked me, Lila. She closes the letter, presses it to her chest. Her jaw sets. Lila, whispers. No, you don't get to disappear like this. She turns, fast, knocking over her chair. Her heels clack against the floor as she rushes to the elevator. Elevator, moments later. The floor numbers blink in reverse. 33, 27, 19. Her hand hovers over her phone, unsure whether to call. Instead, she closes her eyes. Lila, V.O. He carried the weight of being forgotten so well. I forgot how easy it might be for him to leave again. Lobby. Continuous. She bursts through the glass doors, breath visible in the morning air. No sign of him. Her eyes scan the street. Traffic. Pedestrians. Then, she spots the truck, not in the corporate lot, but parked by a small side garage near the old part of town. She exhales, hopeful and frantic all at once. Leela, V.O. You don't get to fade away like some fairy tale ending, not after you taught me how to begin. She sprints across the street, toward the last place anyone would think to look for a CEO. Under a car, surrounded by kids, in a garage that smelled like oil, hope, and home. Small garage. Edge of town. Late morning. The sign above the garage is handmade, painted with crooked letters. Hands-on Saturdays. Learn by doing. The door is rolled halfway up. Inside, the scent of oil, rubber, and fresh-cut wood lingers in the air. A dozen kids are gathered in a half-circle around an old engine block. Most wear gloves 2 sizes too big. All of them wear the same look. Focus. At the center, kneeling on the concrete, sleeves rolled, grease on his forearms, is Elias. He points at a cracked gasket, gesturing for one boy to try loosening it. Elias, don't force it. Feel it. The bolt's got a memory. You gotta work with it, not against it. Girl like a person? He chuckles. Elias. Exactly like a person. Sidewalk. Just outside, Lila slows as she reaches the open garage door. She watches in silence. This man, labeled unscalable, too sentimental, not modern, is surrounded by kids hanging on every word. He's alive here in a way he never was in polished rooms or marble offices. Garage. Moments later, Elias looks up, sensing her. They lock eyes. No words, just shared breath between them. She walks in slowly, heels echoing against the concrete until they stop beside him. He wipes his hands on a rag and stands, but she doesn't speak. She just drops to the ground beside him, knees in her expensive pants. She sits, shoulder to shoulder with him. And finally, the tears fall. Elias, softly. Didn't think you'd find me here. Lila, quietly. Didn't think I'd lose you again. A moment passes, then another. One of the boys hands Lila a wrench, unsure what else to do. She takes it, laughs through her tears. Elias, V.O. Sometimes healing doesn't happen in big rooms with spotlights. Sometimes it's on the floor, elbows deep in something broken. Together, he slides her a binder, a new job description. But this time, he's the one doing the hiring. Garage classroom. Late afternoon. The students have gone. The sun dips low, throwing amber light through the garage door and across the workbenches. Leela leans back against a crate of old parts, grease on her palms, hair slightly undone. She's still smiling, still catching her breath. Elias walks over and hands her a manila folder. She opens it. Inside, a printed sheet, signed at the bottom by Elias. Offer of mentorship and instructional role. Zeva Youth Workshop Division. Position. Lead Instructor, Coding and Innovation Program. Supervisor, Elias Carter. She reads it again, then looks up at him. Lila, playfully. You're offering me a job? Elias, someone's got to teach those kids the language of the future, and I can't code my way out of a calculator. She laughs. Genuinely, Lila, do you even know how many zeros are in a string? Elias, I know how to change a spark plug. You know how to change the system. Sounds like a good partnership. She stares at the paper for a long moment, then sets it down carefully. Lila, softly, I made you a CEO, Elias, and I just made you a teacher. They both smile. She picks up a wrench, tosses it gently between her hands. Lila, you know I don't take orders well, right? Elias, grinning. That's why I made the title Lead and not Assistant. She folds the paper, tucks it into her bag. Lila, you serious about this? Elias, think you can keep up with me, CEO? She nods, biting back a grin. Lila, try me. Mechanic. They shake hands. No suits. No speeches. Just calloused fingers and mutual respect. That night, Elias opened a leather-bound journal for the first time in years and began writing a letter to someone he hadn't spoken to in a long, long time. Elias's home. Late night. The house is quiet. The clock ticks softly in the corner, and a faint breeze slips through a cracked window. Elias sits at the kitchen table, the same one where he once ate cold potatoes across from an empty chair. But tonight, the other seat isn't empty. It holds an old leather-bound journal. He opens it gently, the spine creaking. Blank pages wait like a field of fresh snow. He picks up a pen and begins to write. Elias, Dear Marie, I know it's been a while since I put words to paper for you. I've talked to you in the silence, in the rain, in the garage lights flickering above my head. But tonight I needed you to hear this right. Our girl came back. He pauses, breath catching for a moment. She's not the kid who cried when she broke a socket wrench. She's a woman now, sharp, strong, stubborn like her mama. Montage. Pages turning. Lila teaching a coding class to kids wearing safety goggles. Elias leading a welding demo beside her. His daughter laughing with both of them. All three covered in sawdust. Hutton, a new plaque being installed on the vocational center wall, founded in honor of every quiet act of kindness. Kitchen. Back to night. Elias sets down the pen. Closes the journal gently. Elias, V.O. I didn't build an empire, but I helped build hands that can build anything. You'd be proud of the lives we touched. He rests his hand on the journal, then leans back and smiles. Soft, weathered, full. Tomorrow, he wouldn't be working alone anymore. 2 women, 2 legacies, and 1 blueprint they would draw together. Vocational Center Expansion. Weeks later. Workshop. Morning. Lila and Elias stand side by side, reviewing a blueprint on a workbench. His daughter, Samantha, adds sticky notes with student names and ideas. Each suggestion gets a nod, a scribble, a shared laugh. Classroom. Day. Samantha leads a discussion on digital circuits. Lila sketches code logic on the whiteboard. Elias hands out extension cords and teaches the kids how to run wiring safely. Elias, V.O. They said this kind of work needed scale, but they forgot what it means to reach, not with numbers, but with hands, with time, with belief. Rooftop. Sunset. The 3 of them sit together, watching the sun set behind cranes and scaffold. A new wing of the center is rising. Bricks laid by former students now hired as contractors. The sign reads, Zeva Practical Futures, Phase 2. Community meeting room. Night. Parents crowd in for open house night. One whispers, That's him, the mechanic who changed everything. Elias smiles but stays behind the camera, letting the girls lead the presentation. Blueprint room. Late night. The final shot, a large drafting table lit by a single warm lamp. A blank sheet of architectural paper stretches across it. Elias, Lila, and Samantha. Each of them reaches in. 3 hands, 3 pens, 3 visions, 1 legacy. Elias, V.O. You don't build the future by standing above people. You build it when you kneel beside them and draw the lines together. They begin sketching, soft pencil strokes, no words, just the sound of something being born. And when they unveil the new building a few months later, Elias can't bring himself to walk the stage. But he's in the back row, heart full, watching it all rise in his name. The Elias Foundation for Practical Futures. Opening day. The ribbon is gold, stretched across the front gates like a promise. Beneath it, A brand new building gleams in the morning sun. Glass and brick, bold yet grounded. Above the arched entryway, etched in bronze, the Elias Foundation for Practical Futures, built by hands, guided by heart. A crowd has gathered. Students, parents, teachers, city officials, reporters. Photographers click as Lila steps onto the stage. Samantha stands beside her, holding the scissors. Elias isn't with them. School hallway, moments later. He walks the halls alone, hand brushing across freshly painted lockers. Wires neatly run, carpentry precise. It smells like cedar and new beginnings. On one wall, a mural of calloused hands passing down a wrench. He stops, takes it in. Elias, V.O. Didn't think I'd live long enough to see my name on anything other than a mailbox or a utility bill. But here it was, a building, built not because I chased power, but because I passed it on. Courtyard. Later rows of folding chairs are filled. Lila steps up to the mic. Lila, we name buildings after visionaries, but this one is named after someone who simply showed up. Every single day, she looks out into the crowd, sees him. Back row, cap pulled low, eyes glassy, Lila, Conti D. Because that's what changed my life. Not brilliance, consistency, kindness, and tools that didn't come from software, but from soul. Applause breaks out. He doesn't stand, doesn't wave, just claps once. Slow, firm, before wiping his eye and bowing his head. Elias, V.O. Didn't need a podium. Just needed proof that everything I gave something back. And tomorrow, a boy would walk in with a broken bike. And Elias would show him what real repair looked like. Community garage, behind the school. Morning. The celebration is over. The news cameras are gone, but the garage is open. Elias sits on an old stool, sleeves rolled up, a box of tools beside him. Sunlight leaks through the half-lifted door, casting gold streaks across the concrete floor. A boy, maybe 10, walks his bike into the garage, front wheel wobbling, chain sagging like a tired smile. He looks nervous. Shy boy, you fix bikes too? Elias looks up, smiles. Elias, if it's got bolts, I can fix it. The boy pushes the bike forward, watching Elias work. Elias, Conti D, checking the wheel. What happened here? Boy, I tried to jump the curb. Didn't work out? Elias chuckles softly. Elias, that's how most things get broken. Trying to do something brave. He pulls out a wrench, adjusts the alignment, rehooks the chain. The boy watches, wide-eyed. Boy, you built the school? Elias wipes his hands, then pats the seat of the now straightened bike. Elias, nah. I just gave people the right tools. They did the rest. The boy climbs on, pedals once, twice, smooth now, then stops, gets off. Walks back, boy, quietly. Thanks, mister. He hugs Elias around the middle, quick, tight, sincere. Elias freezes for a second, then rests a hand on the boy's shoulder. Elias, V.O. Wasn't a ceremony, wasn't a headline, but right then, I felt like 1,000 speeches had been given in silence. That afternoon, he'd sit on a bench out back, next to someone who looked a lot like him once did, only this time she carried the torch forward. Bench, outside the garage. Late afternoon. The sky is dipped in soft orange and lavender. A slow breeze rustles the trees behind the school. The garage door is closed now, tools resting, silence humming. Elias sits on a wooden bench, wiping grease from his hands with a red rag that's seen 100 Mondays. Next to him, Samantha, his daughter, now in her late 20s, polished, confident, but quieter these days. She leans back, arms resting on the bench's edge, breathing deep. Samantha. You know, I used to hate the smell of oil. Thought it meant you'd never leave that garage. Elias grins. Turns out, I didn't need to. She looks out at the school, where children run through the courtyard, laughter floating like music. Samantha. I used to wish you were more like the other dads. Suits, ties, big jobs. She glances at him, soft regret in her voice. Samantha, Candide. Now, I think they all wish they were more like you. Elias doesn't answer right away. Just watches a group of boys fix a go-kart, passing tools between them, copying what they saw in him. Elias. They're not watching me anymore. They're watching you now. She turns to him, eyes glossy but proud. Samantha. Everything I am started right here on this bench. A moment of stillness. Then Elias smiles, pats the bench with his palm. Elias. Not bad. For an old wrench-turner, huh? She leans her head on his shoulder. They sit like that. Father and daughter. Framed by golden light. And when the sun dips below the trees, the past and future will meet by candlelight, held in the hands of those he once helped. Vocational School Courtyard. Night. The sun is gone. In its place, a soft hush blankets the courtyard. The building glows with warm interior light, tall windows casting golden reflections onto the stone path below. Narration floats like a whispered prayer. Elias. V.O. The engines I fixed, they broke again. But the kids I touched, they kept running. A teenage girl tightens bolts on a go-kart while mentoring a younger boy. A young man in a Zevatech hoodie walks into a college classroom, backpack slung over one shoulder. A single mother opens her first small auto shop with her daughter by her side. A newspaper headline. Former dropouts now mentors, the vocational revolution. Samantha hangs a photo of Elias in the school lobby beside the words, Build people, not just machines. Courtyard. Later that night, a quiet crowd has gathered. No stage, no microphones, just one match, and dozens of candles. Samantha stands at the center, lighting the first flame. She turns, and one by one each former student, grown and grateful, lights the candle of another. Soon, the entire courtyard glows, not from electricity, but from the light of gratitude. Elias steps outside the garage, halting at the sight. Dozens of candles, dozens of kids, all looking at him, some now adults, some still growing, all touched by his hands, his heart, his belief. He doesn't speak. He just takes off his cap and nods. Elias, V.O. It wasn't the wrenches. It was the moments in between, the pauses, the encouragement, the love without needing to say it out loud. And in the still glow of those flames, a portrait will rise. Not painted, not framed, but living in the hands of those he once lifted. School hallway, morning light. The walls are fresh painted, a warm beige with navy trim. Laughter and footsteps echo as students pass, backpacks bouncing. But then, a hush falls. A quiet gathering forms outside the new West Wing. The hallway opens into a gallery space, and at its center, a wall of framed portraits, each one honoring a mentor, a guide, a life changer, a retired teacher who taught night classes for free, a woman who started a girls-only mechanics club, Welidati, a late janitor who taught dignity in every movement, a black and white portrait of Elias, mid-laugh, grease on his cheek, holding a wrench like it's Excalibur. The photo isn't polished. It isn't staged. It's real. It's who he was. Every wrinkle, every kindness, every unsaid, "You matter." Beneath the portrait, etched in brushed steel, he fixed more than machines. Kids pause here. Some touch the plaque gently. Others just stand. Still thoughtful, like they know him, even if they never met him. Samantha walks in quietly behind them, holding a fresh frame. She adds a new face to the wall, a graduate who now teaches welding. The legacy continues. Elias, V.O. The trick isn't building something that lasts. It's building someone who will. One student looks up at his photo and whispers, "Student, thank you, Mr. Elias." No spotlight, no ceremony, just the quiet sound of respect, the kind you can't teach in books. And next, the girl with the shoes will speak, not just to honor a man, but to remind the world what kindness can create. National Conference Hall. A massive auditorium, filled to the brim with philanthropists, educators, and executives. Cameras flash, pens scribble, eyes fix on the stage. The backdrop, National Summit on Education Equity. And at the podium, Samantha. Now polished in heels and confidence, yet still carrying the same quiet fire from her barefoot days. She taps the mic gently. The room falls into silence. Samantha. When I was 9, I walked 4 miles to school, not because I loved walking, but because I had no choice, no bus, no shoes, no one who noticed. A pause. Samantha. No one, until one man saw me, not as poor, not as invisible, but as worth helping. Young Samantha outside the shop gate. A sandwich wrapped in newspaper. A quiet man slipping new shoes into a desk at her school. Samantha. He never asked for thanks. He didn't want a favor. He just gave. She holds up the same shoes, now bronzed, aged, but preserved like treasure. Samantha. These were once the only things protecting my feet. But the man who gave them, he protected my future. Eyes in the audience are moist. Some wipe tears. Samantha. Voice trembling. He didn't have wealth. He didn't have a platform, but he had enough heart to change a life. Beat Samantha. And now I get to say what I couldn't say back then. She turns to the crowd. Voice steady, eyes bright. Samantha. He believed I was worth more than my shoes. Standing ovation. A single spotlight falls on the bronzed shoes beside her. And somewhere backstage, Elias wipes his eyes. Not from pride, but from peace. Small backyard. Sunset. Glow paper lanterns sway gently from tree branches. Fairy lights wrap around fences. A string quartet plays softly. It's his daughter's wedding day. Intimate, rustic, perfect. Elias sits at a long wooden table, a linen napkin folded in his lap. He's wearing a charcoal gray suit, slightly wrinkled, but proud. Guests raise glasses, laughter echoes. And then, his daughter stands up in her ivory gown. Glowing. Daughter, I want to thank everyone here, but especially one man. The man who raised me. The man who taught me what loyalty, patience, and quiet strength looks like. Elias chuckles, eyes low. He's already blinking fast. Daughter, you didn't just change oil or engines. You changed the entire course of my life. And today, I want to give something back. She reaches under the table, takes a small, worn-out velvet pouch, walks over to him, kneels beside his chair like a child again. Daughter, you gave me this when I started high school. Said it was your lucky charm. She opens the pouch and places a small rusty keychain into his palm. It's shaped like a wrench. The metal is dulled, but the engraved word is clear. Hold fast, daughter. I kept it all these years. Elias clutches it tight. His knuckles tremble. No words, just a breathless smile, and a tear sliding down his cheek. Daughter, softly. I still believe it works. They hug. Tight. Silent. Long. The band swells into a melody. Guests rise, watching the hug more than the bouquet. And somewhere across the yard, Samantha watches with a hand over her heart, because the man who fixed her feet also built a family. Small office. Early morning, the sound of birds outside the window. Steam rises from a chipped coffee mug. A mechanical pencil scratches paper with patience. Elias sits at a worn wooden desk, same one he used to fix carburetors on. Only now it holds a stack of notebooks, a laptop, and old photographs. He's writing. Not a journal, not a resignation letter, but a book. On the cover, Wrenches and Wisdom. Life lessons from a shop that saved me. by Elias Graves. He writes about his first car, Waima. He sketches diagrams of engines and inserts life metaphors beside them. An engine only fires when every piece does its job. So does a family. He adds sticky notes. Chapter 5. How a Sandwich Changed Two Lives. He writes about fatherhood, kindness, tools, mistakes, hope. The Community Center Library. A teenage girl flips through a draft of the book, reading aloud to a group of younger kids. Girl, reading, "He didn't have power, he had presence, and that's what saved us." Back to Elias. He gently closes the notebook, leans back in his chair, takes a breath. He turns to the final page, writes a dedication in pencil. For the next kid with no shoes. And he underlines it once, not for emphasis, but for closure. Community garage. Golden hour sunlight paints everything amber. A soft wind moves through the trees like memory. Elias sits on the same old bench outside the center, the one he once built from discarded crate wood. His hands rest on his knees, grease still beneath the nails. Beside him, a young boy wrestles with a busted scooter. "Boy, Mr. Elias, this thing won't go straight." Elias. "That's 'cause it's missin' balance. Gotta adjust both sides, not just one." He kneels, gently takes the wrench, and shows the boy how. The boy watches, eyes wide, not just at the scooter, but at the care behind the calloused hands. Inside the garage, kids of every background are learning. One soldering wires. Another painting a mural of tools and quotes. A girl codes on an old laptop, lines of HTML on the screen. On the back wall, a giant mural reads, "Hold fast." Elias Graves, a slow-motion shot of the community. Kids learning, laughing, helping each other. His daughter walks through with a clipboard, mentoring quietly. Samantha stands nearby, filming a video update for the center's donors. Back to Elias. He looks out at it all. Not proud, not boastful, just content. He pulls out the keychain his daughter gave him back. Worn. Loved. He tucks it into the pocket of a new kid's backpack, sitting beside him.